So we're attending teachings on the Tara practice, and we have a short sadhana that was produced by Lama Thupten Yeshi and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. I want to first establish a foundation for doing this practice. And it is called sort of bodhicitta, but what it means is an enlightened activity. It means is that in whatever we're involved in, may I have a more enlightened ability, more enlightened capacity in dealing with it. So whether it's in your family, or whether it's at work, or whether it's with people just in your country, whatever, how can I be more enlightened, more capable? And if you think about it, it really means is to be more creative. So, you could say sort of as a joke that, each one of us are so different and so complicated, in our own way that how we see things. I mean, all you have to do is live with somebody and you immediately understand is how you are not the same as that other person. And so if you think of Tara, she's trying to help you. It means she has to be really creative because you're strange, you're different, you have a unique things about yourself. And so therefore she has to be, we would say, very enlightened about how to help you, how to deal with you. And so when we turn our mind towards doing Tara practice, what we're trying to develop is exactly that, a better creativity with ourselves in helping ourselves become more enlightened, and then better creativity with others, helping others to become enlightened. So that's what it means when you say the word bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means the enlightened mind, or it refers to an altruistic mind. May I become enlightened for the benefit of all. But saying that, may I become enlightened for the benefit of all, is sort of saying, I want to go to the southern coast of France. That's all it is. It's just like, oh, I want to become more enlightened. Oh, I want to go to some beach resort on the Mediterranean. So it doesn't really mean anything. It sort of gives you an idea of what you want, but how you do it. For example, if you were to go to a beach resort on the coast of Spain or France or something, you go and you buy the ticket, you pack your bags, you organize yourself, you get on the bus or the train or the plane, and you fly. What that means for us as practitioners is we start working on ourselves. So when you say, I'd like to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings, it then says, I'm going to work on myself to become more enlightened. But I'm doing it for more than myself. I'm doing it that if I have some ability to deal with my anger, my jealousy, my competitiveness, whatever it may be, I don't want it just for myself, but I'd like to be able to help others who might have that problem or issue. So when you really think about it, because in standard Buddhism, you have that, like, there's a noble truth of suffering, and if you have anger, you're creating bad karma, and this and that and such. And so you wouldn't say you're a bad person, but you've got problems. Okay, but when we move to the Bodhisattva vehicle, we still say, okay, I have anger, but we did say, I would like to bring my anger to a more enlightened position, finally being free of anger, and such, and not just within myself, but again, if somebody else has a problem. So you could say you are creatively working with yourself. The base of who you are is good. We have Buddha nature, and our Buddha nature and the Buddha nature of Tara is exactly the same. Different religions have different presentations. Generally it's, it's called dualistic. Like, so there's God and us, and we're not God. God is creator of us. But in Buddhism, we don't do it that way. We are one with the ultimate nature. Now, it doesn't mean we're God. That's just ridiculous. But then again, that's wrong terminology. But our Buddha nature, our most profound nature of our mind, our soul, and that of Tara is exactly the same. But on a superficial level, we have our issues, our desires, our anger, our whatever it might be, our things, and we're not very much in harmony with reality. Tara, on a superficial level, is beautiful, enlightened. She hasn't got any problems. And that profound level of, let's say, on the surface of Tara goes all the way down to her Buddha nature. You and I have Buddha nature, but because of our misunderstanding of reality, we haven't organized our sort of more superficial side of ourselves. And so therefore we never access our Buddha nature because we're always distracted. If you think of it in one way, like on the surface, we don't understand reality. We want things to be always permanent. We don't like things to change. We don't accept the fact that maybe we've got some karma that we have to work through. We don't appreciate that we're interdependent. We don't appreciate that we have possibilities, that we could be open and we could become enlightened. So because of all those misunderstandings, and again, we don't have any meditation, we can't go to a subtle level. When you have a better understanding of reality, everything does change. If something is happening, it has a continuity of causes and circumstances, karma. That I am an interdependent universe. I am interdependent with the world around me. And I and all these phenomena are open, empty of any self-existence. With that understanding, and then with your meditation, because your attitude about life is open, not closed and insecure and uptight and negative, but rather I'm at peace with myself, I like myself, and with my meditation, I also can then go to my Buddha nature, which is the same place that Tara exists. So our practice, if you take the right understanding, is we are creatively working with ourselves to be more enlightened, more open, more wise, more compassionate, however you want to name it. Okay. And then with our meditation, we can then go to a subtle level and we can be one with Tara. So the concept I want to introduce to you is that you are working with yourself creatively. Okay. Now, if I'm going to go back to the sadhana, okay, on page, just again, you don't have to have it in front of you if you don't want to, it doesn't matter. But within that understanding that I just described, then we have on page 5, refuge. Okay, so refuge is I take refuge in the Holy Guru, essence of the Buddha's essence, and generator of the holy teachings, Lord of the Supreme Beings. Okay, so when you say I take refuge means I am going in the direction of becoming more enlightened. Or another way to say it is if it's raining, you take protection under an umbrella. So you take refuge under an umbrella. So in this case, you're taking refuge within the understandings that are presented by Buddha and by the various gurus. Okay, so I take refuge with them. Please, Guru Buddhas, bestow on me the ability to unify my mind with the Dharma and successful in practicing the Dharma in order to achieve the graduated path. Okay, so the graduated path then is it's the presentation of how you evolve, how you work with yourself. Okay, now I'm not going to do a big conversation on this, but the thing is, it actually says prayer of a practitioner of lower capacity. Very bad translation. It's called the initial scope of my spiritual practice, getting my life organized. So what does that mean? Okay, well, I have a human rebirth. I have wonderful opportunity. I mean, we're sitting here. I mean, I'm in Mexico and you're in Europe and we're talking to each other. You know, there's that opportunity. And then there's all the teachings. I mean, we have the Tibetans that came out of Tibet and then are now presented the Dharma, the Buddha Dharma and all of the great spiritual techniques that are available. I really lucked out. I'm so lucky. I've got a good situation. I mean, just for example, let's go back, 100 years, okay, and you're in Europe, so it's mostly Christian or Catholic or whatever. Well, all you're taught is you're a bad person, you have a sin on your soul, you better turn your mind to Jesus Christ or you're going to go to hell forever. That was the only information you were given for spiritual practice. Okay. I mean, and but not saying that that's bad. I mean, just it's what it was what the teachings were. Now much more profound. I mean, there's psychology and how to understand yourself and how to work with your emotions. And then there's spiritual practices, not just, the standard ones that were available before in Europe for Christianity or maybe some other tradition. But now there's Buddhism and Hinduism. And both of those actually, I mean, in Hinduism, it's Sat Chit Ananda. Your mind is truth, bliss, and truth, bliss, and happiness, Sat Chit Ananda. Okay. In Buddhism, it's the Buddha nature, which is clear light and bodhicitta, or method and wisdom. So the point is, wow, you're so lucky. You have those teachings available to you now. So that's the first. Okay, so we have, hey, I got a good rebirth. I really lucked out this time. I have lots of teachings available. I start to understand things are impermanent. My possessions are impermanent. My relationships are impermanent. My body is impermanent. So I start to say, okay, how do I integrate that into my life? Well, stop having attachment. Use my possessions in positive ways. So use my possessions with generosity or sharing. In my relationships, offer a more enlightened relationship. With my body, it's not how well I feed it, or how beautiful I make it with creams, or how I make my hair beautiful, or my beard look beautiful. All of that's impermanent. You're putting all your energy into something, basically your body's going to be the thing that kills you. So use your body for good things, something positive. Okay, so, hey, I got a good rebirth. I now am integrating things that are impermanent. I have a sense of direction. That's taking refuge. Hey, I'd like to be enlightened. I'd like to be more skillful in my life. I have the teachings that are available. I have friends that have a more enlightened attitude. And then finally, I'm careful of my karma, what I'm doing with my life, how I'm acting, and how I'm acting with my body, my speech, or my mind. So I'm conscious of my karma. That's the lower scope. So I mean, it says lower capacity. No, if you don't have that foundation, you can't do any of the higher practices. So I feel good about myself. I know what's important and not important. I have a sense of direction, and I'm being mindful of my karma. That's the lower capacity. Middle capacity is I'm now going deeper. It's basically, you got your life organized in the initial scope of spiritual practice. In the middle scope of spiritual practice, you could say you sort of went to a psychologist in the sense that you started looking deeper inside yourself. How am I functioning? How am I misunderstanding things? What's the nature of my mind? The one thing that's different a little bit between psychology and Buddhism is that psychology is good with how to work with feelings and emotions. It's very good. In fact, I mean, sometimes psychology is better than Buddhism for understanding. But Buddhism gives you what's the nature of your mind? What's the profound nature of your being? Clear light, bliss and voidness, I mean, however you want to term it, Sat Chit Ananda. Okay, so that's the middle scope, is that you start to look deeper in yourself. You're not just managing your life well, initial scope of spiritual practice. You're now actually more deeply involved in yourself, and you're looking into yourself. And then you arrive at the what's called the highest scope, or the great scope of spiritual practice, which is I'm in an interdependent universe. Many things support me, benefit me because I'm interdependent with them. May I benefit them back? Planet Earth gives me a place to live and gives me food and gives me water and such. My teachers give me education. My friends give me love and support. I am interdependent with them. May I offer something back? So that's the great scope. So may I become more, well, in this case, may I become more enlightened? So may I offer something good back to other people? So then that's the great scope, which is just that you got your life organized, initial scope of spiritual practice. You went a little deeper and you started to understand yourself more deeply, your soul, your spirit, middle school. And then you said, whoa, I'm getting my life's a lot more organized, but I am interdependent with the universe around me. May I be of benefit? I'm getting benefit. May I offer benefit back? That's the great school. And then Vajrayana is actually touching the archetypes of our human psyche. Things that are, well, it's the personification of enlightened aspects. Tara is the personification of enlightened activity, skillful activity, creative activity, how to benefit ourselves, how to benefit others. Manjushri would be the Buddha of wisdom, clarity of mind, clarity of understanding. Vajrapani would be capacity. I have greater capacity to manage myself. So they are the personifications of things. And Avalokiteshvara, for example, is the personification of love and compassion. Okay, so that gets us up to page 7. Okay, and please do study. I mean, Buddhist practice is a lifetime practice. It's not just sort of like a few years. It's like the meaning of your life. What is the meaning of my life? When I wake up in the morning, what's the meaning? What am I going to do with myself? I mean, it's so nice to wake up and say, I'm a nice person. I'm going to be beneficial. I feel good about who I am. Again, the world's complicated. Like I said at the very beginning, each one of us are complicated people. Again, all you need to do is live with somebody, and you start to understand how complicated we all are. Okay. But what you're saying is, I wake up in the morning and I say, I'd like to be better with myself. I'd like to be better with other people, and that makes me feel good. I mean, fulfillment comes actually by relationship. How do you experience love? Well, you have to have somebody in your life, especially if you have children, or maybe you have a pet, like a pet dog or a pet cat. I mean, it's so interesting, but in many ways, our love for them is so much better than for another human being, because human beings are complicated. But anyway, coming back to the point is that how do you feel fulfillment? You feel fulfillment by your relationships. Who are you in those relationships? And that just gives you a very nice feeling inside. And that doesn't contradict, or doesn't mean that you're being used and abused by other people. It means is that I have clarity of who I am and what I'm offering in these relationships. If somebody is abusive, then I still would like to offer something, but I'm going to be a little more careful with you. If somebody's a little bit more friendly and capable, we don't need to be sort of so careful, but we can just say, hey, I can be friendly and warm to you. I can be generous, and I can offer you good advice, and I can do what's necessary for you and help you. Anyway, so now anyway, we have that clarity, which is we've got our life organized, initial scope of spiritual practice. We've got a little deeper, middle scope of spiritual practice. We appreciate that we're in an interdependent universe. May I be, as much as I'm benefited, may I benefit others. And then we turn our mind to tantric practice. Okay, so we have we're on page 7. Above the crown of my head, I visualize a lotus and moon disk. And upon these, the great treasure of compassion, Aryatara, mother of all enlightened beings, who's the oneness of my kind root guru. Now, I get often questions about root guru or gurus. Basically, gurus help you become more enlightened. That's their goal. So, for example, I mean, you have your yoga teacher. Well, he's a guru for helping you be more healthy, helping you to become more enlightened with your body. Then you have teachers that have helped you with, just understanding things, whatever. I mean, any quality that you have, most likely somebody helped you and taught you. And then you have your spiritual teachers. So when you think of teachers, and this is as my root guru, it just refers to that gurus, all the gurus that I have that have helped me, whether they're men or women, all of those gurus are embodied on the crown of my head. Now, in this case, for those that receive the Tara initiation, then you'd think of me. You can do it, let's say it's not, you actually think of, my little job, body job, you think of sort of like a Buddha form, okay? So my guru is seated in full lotus position with a translucent bubble of rainbow colored light, his pink complexion, whatever. I says this, if you had a teacher who was a black person, you'd do that, a dark complexion. Okay, so let's be realistic anyway. Wears the saffron robes and a pandit's hat. His right hand is in his heart in a gesture of teachings. That's this gesture here. That's the gesture of teachings, and holds a vajra. Now I don't have a vajra here, but holds a vajra, and the stem of a white lotus that blossoms by his right ear. And his left hand is on his hip, holds a bell, and the stem of the white lotus blossoms by his left ear. So right hand holds a vajra and is in this mudra. I think that shows up on the Zoom, doesn't it? And then the left hand is just on his left hip, holds the bell. Both hands hold the stem of a lotus. The stem comes up and blossoms into white lotuses on the right and the left side. Okay, that's on the crown of your head. And again, you don't make it like huge. You make it just sort of comfortable, small. Okay, so it's like that big, like it's like that. That's the size that you do there. Okay. Anyway, all right. In my guru's heart is the female aspect, green in color, seated, that's Tara, of course, dancing posture with the bubble, a rainbow bubble. So both the guru has a rainbow of bubble around them. Tara in the heart of the guru is got a rainbow bubble. Left leg bent up and right leg stretched out. So that's like the images that you have for Tara. Her left hand is at her heart and the mudra of symbolizing the triple gem. So her left hand, in this case, her hand is like this. This represents, I'm an enlightened lady. I have the teachings and I'm your friend. Okay. I'm an enlightened lady. I have the teachings that require for you to get enlightened, to be more creative with yourself, and I'm your friend. Okay, she is beautifully adorned with jeweled ornaments and scarves, and her three places bear the littles. So you can have Om at the crown or on the forehead as you wish, but normally it's on the crown. Om, Ah, Hum. Okay, now that's Antara. Okay, in her heart is a lotus moon cushion, moon seat, which stands a radiant syllable tum. In English, you could use TAM, tum. If you're familiar with the Tibetan, you can use that, but really it doesn't matter. I mean, the English is just fine. Rays of green light radiate in all directions from the tum and evoke the enlightened Buddhas of the 10 directions. They absorb into Tara and become one. Please remain above my head until I receive enlightenment. Okay, now, what you have then is you should feel that on your crown is your guru, and all your gurus, or you can have, they're all, it's called all the gurus in one jewel is the form on the crown of your head. In his or her heart, then is Tara, and she's very radiant and beautiful and such. She sends out light and she touches the mind of all the holy beings. So you want to think of that her light touches the Dalai Lama and the Karmapa and all the other holy beings. I mean, whatever holy beings are in Europe and such like that, they all become aware that you are a meditator and you are practicing, and they send back a wave of energy into the Tara in your heart. So in that way, then you feel that the guru and the Tara on the crown of your head are unified with all the holy beings of Europe and of the world and all the teachers that you may have received teachings from. Okay. And then you say the little prayer, please remain on my head until I receive enlightenment. Okay, very good. Then I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha Dharma Sangha, or Buddha Dharma and Supreme Assembly, to I merit perfections. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. You say that 3 times. Now, remember I said earlier, if you have the right understanding, your personality, your attitude about life has good self-esteem, like, hey, I'm really lucky. I got the teachings and I've got all this opportunity. Okay, that's your initial scope of spiritual practice. And I appreciate things are impermanent. And I'm inspired by Buddha Dharma Sangha. And I'm being careful with my karma. I'm cleaning up some of my old karma. I'm creating lots of good new karma. Okay. And then I'm more deeper, middle scope of spiritual practice. And I'm an interdependent being. May I be of benefit? The great scope of spiritual practice. Okay. Now, the seven limb prayer basically facilitates that, helps that happen. Okay. I offer my body, speech, and mind with devotedly prostrate. All that prostration means is I am humble. I am not arrogant. I I can say, well, you are precious. Thank you very much. That's what the prostration is with my body, speech, and mind. My body would be, just for example, doing this mudra. My speech should be saying this prayer. And in my heart, I have the thought, the mind of inspiration. I offer all offerings, both real and imagined. So just, I make offerings to all of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and such. Okay, again, here it's got a really bad word, sins. Sins and offenses of mass from beginning to this time. I never checked this translation because it came from the FPMT, but sins is not a good word. All negativity, okay, because sin is like, this is a sin, that's a something. But in Buddhism, there are no sins. You could say there's stupidity and negative action. Like I didn't understand and I got angry. I didn't understand and I physically hit somebody. I didn't understand and I lied. Okay, that's the Buddhist way to understand things. So again, I should have checked this up and adjusted it. But anyway, so all negativity and offenses amassed from beginning this time I confess. Now, that's very interesting. Have you ever considered that, like, there's some things that you have done that you would love to hide? Like even you think about them and you go, oh, I wish I'd never done that. And so when you're working to become enlightened, you don't hide anything about yourself to the Buddhas. Now, you don't need to go and make a great big confession like, oh, I did this and I did that. But you want to say that, for example, if you are let's say, in front of Tara, and Tara can see you down with her omniscient mind down to the most profound level, you don't want to say, well, please don't look at that, Tara. And please don't look at this, Tara, because, oh, I was really not a very nice person there. No, you're going to say, okay, I did those things and they weren't very smart. I don't want to do them again. Now, I'm not doing a big conversation on what's called the four opponent powers, but like the recognition that something was negative and I regret it. I don't want to do that again. I turn my mind to being more enlightened. I do a purification practice, in this case, Tara practice, and I dedicate myself not to repeat that negative thing I did at the beginning. Okay, that's the four opponent powers. But that's what this means. That particular line says, I confess means I open up and I don't hide anything about myself. I rejoice in all virtues of holy and ordinary beings. Anything that's positive done by anybody, whether they're a Buddhist or a non-Buddhist, whether they're a man or a woman, whether a dog or a cat, anything that's virtuous and positive, I'm happy about that. Oh, gurus and Buddhas, please remain until samsara ends. Please stay around. So, may the Dalai Lama live a very, very long life. And may all the Karmapa and all the other great gurus, may they live long lives. And turn the wheel of the Dharma for sentient beings. That means give teachings, help us all become more enlightened. And all my virtues for those and others I dedicate to the great enlightenment. So everything I'm doing, I dedicate to becoming more enlightened, to being more creative with myself, being more creative with other people. That seven limb prayer is very much supportive of you developing, becoming a better person. And it's not dogmatic. None of this is dogma that you should do this or that. Like I'm humble, I'm generous. I don't hide anything about myself because I'd like to be a better, positive person. I'm happy with anybody who's virtuous. May may positive people live very long lives. May they teach, and I dedicate myself for attaining all of that. That's the 7 branches of prayer. They're very real progression of personal growth. Then the next comes at the bottom of page 8. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, known as Mount Meru, formed on the sun and moon. I imagine the Buddha field and offered. Now, if you're fairly new to Buddhism, you might be a little overwhelmed with all this information. That's why I said you practice for a lifetime. Your whole lifetime is a process of creatively working with yourself. So the mandala offering, it's just a sense of generosity. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. The objects of my attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, and strangers, my body, wealth, and enjoyments, without any sense of loss, I offer this collection. Please accept this with pleasure and bless me to free from the 3 poisons. So the 3 poisons, of course, are my attachment, my aversion, my misunderstanding, my ignorance. Okay. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kanir Tayami. Okay, now then you have the purification. We're on page 9. Let me just, yeah, so everybody's there. Hope you're understanding my English. Okay, let me go back to the text. Okay, we will have a question time in a few minutes, okay? So please bless me to purify all obscurations, non-virtues of my body so that they become one essence with Guru Tara's holy body, Vajra body. Visualize white light emanates from the Om of Tara's brow and curves as an arc to my brow. So remember, you have Guru Tara on the crown. From her Om on her forehead or on her crown, but it doesn't matter, comes and enters into your forehead or into your crown. So you feel the light comes in an arc and comes around and touches you. Okay? Purifies completely all the obscurations and become the essence of Guru's holy body. So anything that I did that was physically inappropriate gets purified. Please bless me and purify obscurations of my speech. So any inappropriate speech that I may have ever done, red light from her throat comes to my throat, and my speech becomes purified of obscurations and becomes the essence of Tara's holy speech. Please bless all obscurations of my mind so that my mind will become with the essence of Guru's holy heart mind. Blue light from Tara's heart comes around in an arch and comes into my heart. And arc purifies obscurations. Please bless and purify. Then we make the big request. Please bless and purify all obscurations and subtle obscurations to the omniscience that the body, speech, and mind become one with the Guru's holy body, speech, and mind. Now, the 3 colored beams emanate simultaneously, white, red, and blue. They absorb into you white, red, and blue, completely purifying delusions, separations of my body, speech, and mind. That means you become more integrated. Because sometimes our thoughts are here and our speech and our actions are there. Like they're not all integrated. Like we might be talking nicely and acting nicely, but inside we hate this person. So that's called non-integration. So we have a mind of wisdom and love. Our speech is wisdom and love. Our actions of our body are wisdom and love. That's what the integration of body, speech, and mind refers to. My root Guru absorbs into Arya Tara, who melts into green light and flows into me. So the Guru absorbs to Tara. Tara then turns into green light and flows down into your top of your head. Now, where is that point? It is 8 finger widths above the crown. So from your eyebrows, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8. That is the point that Tara enters. It's actually an acupuncture point. So it has some relationship to actually really to your physical body. So then that feel that then she flows into that point. And instantly, my wrong conception that I and all phenomena are self-existent, together with my dualistic mind and its views, disappear and be completely empty. Not even a trace remains. Okay, now what that refers to is that we're going to talk about this next week, actually, in more detail. But we have what we call the nature of reality. Okay, so you're sitting in a room right now. What is the nature of that reality? Now, we do it in two ways: a relative perspective and an ultimate perspective. The relative perspective is all this phenomena in this room that I'm in is interdependent. Okay, now, for example, be aware of yourself. You're sitting in a room. Well, how does it feel? What's the temperature of the air? Because that's touching your skin. So maybe you have a sweater on, or maybe you don't, whatever, because you're interdependent. You are interdependent, or if we come back to the thing, we are not self-existent. I am interdependently existent. So just sitting there, listening to my voice right now, you are immersed in the atmosphere. You are interdependent with it. You know, when I move my hands, it's not like there's no atmosphere. Wherever I move my hand, it's like my hand's in water. You know, it's completely immersed in the atmosphere around me. Okay, so that is then all I and all phenomena are self-existent. That wrong conception completely disappears. I am interdependent. Okay, then even if, for example, you breathe, your whole body internally is penetrated by the atmosphere, gives you life. So again, there's no self-existence of you. You are an interdependent phenomena. You could say you're open, interdependent, but that's a wisdom consciousness. It doesn't mean you're vulnerable. It means I am interdependent with the universe around me. There is no independent self-existence. And then the dualistic mind just means this is interesting. Like if you're looking at me on the screen right now, you're only seeing a reflection of what you understand of me. Now, if you spend enough time with me, you can have a bigger and bigger understanding. But let's say when you first met me, you know, or attended maybe the Tara initiation or something, when you were looking at me, you were seeing my form, but you were only understanding, oh, he's a guru, oh, he gives initiation, he's Canadian. You know, it depends how much you knew about me. You know, I'm 75 years old, you know. So those are you only see a reflection of your mind. When you understand that, that is called non-duality. That is called non-duality. Sorry, my phone went off. Okay. So coming back to the thing, that the dualistic mind thinks that when I see somebody or I see something, it is independent. No. And this is Buddhist philosophy is you're only seeing what you understand, what's reflecting back to you. That's all that you really see. So therefore, in the dualistic mind, you say, I am the owner of my experience. I am non-dual. Now, that doesn't mean that fire doesn't, will not burn you. No, fire will burn you, and water makes you wet. And if somebody's angry, they can make you unhappy, But if you understand the phenomena, you don't put your hand in fire. If it's raining, you have an umbrella. If somebody's angry, you understand that they're just unhappy and they're thinking angry is a good thing. And that way you still remain the owner of the experience. So you are not being dualistic. I mean, there's a lot of commentary on that, but again, I'll talk about this next week. It's an important part of it. So all my wrong conception of I and all phenomena as self-existent, independently existent, together with my dualistic mind, which sees things as being separated, all of that disappears. Now so what you've got is a relative perspective, all is phenomena. I'm now going to shift over to ultimate perspective. Ultimate perspective is everything is equal in not being self-existent. So it's not like this is a little bit more self-existent than that, or a little bit less self-existent, sorry, a little bit less, empty of self-existence. And this is big. No, all of these things, myself included, are equally not self-existent. So your mind, in the ultimate perspective, views the nature of all phenomena, which is equal everywhere. And so everything disappears, evaporates, because you are looking at the ultimate perspective of the nature of reality. And in the ultimate perspective, nothing has more presence or more aspect than anything else. You understood that they were all equally interdependent. In the ultimate perspective, you focus on just that. I am only looking at the nature of all phenomena. All phenomena are open, empty of any self-existence. This whole universe is open, empty of self-existence. And so the analogy for this is open like the space of the sky. So you come open like the space of the sky. That's the rest, that's where you rest. Not even a trace of them remains. Okay, so all its views disappear, becoming completely empty. Not even a trace of them completes. I concentrate one pointedly on this empty state with this wisdom that is indistinguishably one with the Guru Tara's blissful omniscient mind. Now, if you had very good meditation stability, you would then touch your Buddha nature, your soul, because you are a good meditator, you're more profound, you have the right attitude about things, how the nature of reality exists. You've touched, so you understand that, but by the power of your meditation, you're able to enter into that experience, which is a conscious experience, and everything evaporates, and it's just conscious awareness, open like the space of the sky. That's a very subtle mind. That's your soul. Now, it's an incredibly subtle mind. Don't sort of think it's so easy to understand. But you're touching your clear light consciousness. So the analogy of open like the space of the sky refers to that if you were, for example, at 20,000 feet up in the sky, clear sky, no clouds, you are that open space, clear, no form. If your mind can hold that, you would then have gotten close to, it depends on how good a meditator you are, to your Buddha nature, to your soul, to the most profound nature of the mind. And that's one with Tara's blissful omniscient mind. That holy mind and your mind are one. That's how you do it. That's how you get close to your soul, okay? That you let go of all the mundane things that you normally are caught up with. You focus on the nature. We are all interdependent. And in being completely interdependent, we are all open. And in that understanding, what it really is then may I be of benefit. So within that state of consciousness, you wish to become a benefit. Then, he says, then out of the emptiness, my wisdom manifests instantly as Tara's holy body seated on a lotus and moon cushion. So that's where, especially for you women, you then can say, I've gone to my soul, my Buddha nature. I am now manifesting Tara. Now, you might say, but I'm not Tara. I've got problems. I'm jealous. I'm competitive. I'm possessive. All those things. No, you're letting Tara come into you and help you deal with all of those things. So even just the identification of Tara is unbelievably powerful. It helps you become a divine woman. And as for the men, you also are getting in touch with divine feminine, not just mundane feminine, but divine feminine. You know, you could, I mean, she's called Mummy Tara, Mother Tara. She's your real mother, you know, special woman. Okay, anyway, at my heart is another lotus and moon. Upon the center of this stands a tum, surrounded clockwise by the mantra Om Tara Tara Turi Soa. The tum and the mantra are manifestations of Tara's holy mind, which is my mind united totally. Green light radiates from the letters, spreading out in every direction. It purifies the negative karmas, gross delusions, and subtle obscurations to omniscience of all sentient beings to become Tara. So you've now seen your own potential of enlightenment. You have the potential to become enlightened. Actually, in Buddhism, all sentient beings, even animals and insects, have the potential to become enlightened because they all have Buddha nature. So if you can see your own, then you just say, all sentient beings have this capacity. Okay? Become Tara. Again, light rays radiate manifold offerings of six transcendental senses of all the Buddhas. Okay, I offer form, I offer sound, I offer smell, I offer taste, I offer touch, and I offer, happy mind. So the six transcendental senses of all the Buddhas are your eye, your ear, your nose, your tongue, your body, and your mind. Those are called the six things. Become Tara. The enlightened beings are extremely pleased and shower down the superlative qualities of Buddha's holy body, speech, and mind. Omniscient wisdom, supreme power, infinite compassion in the form of a great shower of light rays. As I recite the mantra, I absorb and I'm blessed with this rain. Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha. Okay, there's the Tibetan, that's the Tibetan, yeah. Or you can do it in English, doesn't really matter. You feel that's in your heart. So in your heart, there's a lotus with a moon cushion, this little white cushion floating in your heart. In the center of that's the syllable tum, and around that is the Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha. Quickly, and then you do that for 10, 20 minutes, whatever. May I quickly become green Arya Tara and lead each and every sentient being to the enlightened state of all merits by the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise, and grow, and may that which has not arisen emerge, increase more and more. Okay, now, so you're curious, Padmadroma means supreme Tara, supreme Tara, great holy Tara. Okay, they put the Tibetan in there. Okay, now, what I want to do is, what time we're at? We're almost at an hour. So I've just covered the sadhana. I will publish this on my YouTube site for you to be able to watch, and listen to again and again if you want to. We finished the sadhana. Next week, I want to talk a lot about the nature of your mind and how this really works for you, okay? So it's not just sort of like how do I apply this? So, we're going to try to make it more substantial for you next week. And then I think the week after that, we'll do a Vajrapani initiation. I'm not sure. I'll double check the details. Okay. Now, to talk about this, okay, because we're all ordinary people. I mean, I'm married, and I have family. You're married, or maybe you're not married, maybe you're single, whatever your situation is. What you're trying to do is to be more creative in those environments. And that's what Tara is. Tara is basically enlightened activity. Enlightened activity means to be creative with situations. So in doing your Tara practice, even if you have low self-esteem, maybe you had a trauma, maybe you were abused as a child, or maybe you got some big problem, okay? You should feel that Tara has the ability to go into that and help you heal that, solve that. And you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everybody that has maybe a trauma. Now, Some of you might not have that sort of issue. You had a nice upbringing, mom and dad treated you well, you've got good brothers and sisters, everything was pretty good. Then you might say Tara has a little bit less of the heavy work. She's just trying to make you more beautiful. And I'm talking a little bit more to you as the women. I mean, this is where Buddhism's really nice, is it's got a very strong feminine enlightened activity, which is really special. And for us men, we're starting to meditate and to start connect with that women are divine, that there is divine feminine energy. For us as men, that's very beneficial. But for you women, it's beautiful. I mean, you can say, hey, she's bringing the most beautiful parts of me up to the surface. And that's why I love Tara. But it's not just I'm beautiful. No, I've got abilities. I've got enlightened activity. I've got creativity. Now, okay, so just having that idea might benefit you, but sometimes situations are more intense. So that's where quietly inside you can just start doing Tara mantra. So let's say suddenly there's a big problem in the family, or I don't know, there's whatever is happening in your life, So you don't sit there and go out loud, Tara, Tara, Tara. So I mean, people all think you're weird, I mean, or overly religious or something like that. Okay, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is just inside you say, okay, Tara, this is pretty intense, Tara. I need some help. So you take your mind and you focus it on the mantra to help protect you, give you refuge from some intensive situation. But it's not just, protect me, I can't take this. No, it's give me capacity to be able to deal in a more enlightened way with the situation. So in your regular activities, you try to be Tara in the world around you, creative, beautiful, whatever it may be. But sometimes situations are a little more strong than that because you do, well, let's say as much as you do regular meditation on Tara, you do the little sadhana that we just went through, then you can start doing the mantra just inside, just quietly inside of yourself. Just, okay, this man's angry at me, this situation's bad, I just had a car accident, whatever it might be, and then I'll okay, so that gives you some strength. So it's not just attitude. You can have the mantra to help you maintain good attitude. Okay, so it's just this, because sometimes situations are a bit intense, and it could be just you're in a situation you do not know what to do. You can do Tara mantra. Say, Tara, I need your help to be more enlightened in this situation. So Tara practice is beautiful. It's the most wonderful practice. I mean, it's bliss, it's happiness. Okay, so that is the basic material. Other way around, Vajrapani next Thursday. Then we do. Okay, so Vajrapani initiation next Thursday. And sorry, thank you. And then the Tara the week after that. And actually, the teachings I'll do in 2 weeks will be complementary both to Vajrapani and to your Tara practice, because they're all basically coming from the same place. So back to what I was saying though, Tara she just sort of gives you greater abilities. So Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, is a Mani Padme Hum, it's compassion. But Tara is more active. So she's compassionate, but she does something with it. Okay, so that's the way, those are the big ideas you want to have in doing your Tara practice. Okay, so that concludes what I wanted to share. Do we have time to do questions? If you want to, you can type a question in the chat, or if you want to turn on your microphone, you can ask me a question as you wish. Okay, so if anybody has a question, please just ask. Okay, I'm just going to cancel the recording now.